Tune in to hear Elder Stephen Gibson. He is transparent, authentic, and intentional, and he believes everyone should hear the gospel of Jesus Christ, including you.
Pastor Stephen and Sandy Gibson are some phenomenal people, and they truly, truly love the Lord. Trust and believe they have a word for each and every one of us. They have a word for the young people. They have a word for the single people. They have a word for married people. You name it, they have it.
I want you to know about GWC Ministry. GWC Ministry is a ministry that believes in worshiping God. If you don't mind praising God, if you like to give God glory, if you like to hear his word, GWC Ministries broadcast is the place to be. You are tuning in live to GWC Ministries Empowerment Night, and we are in the midst of our Empower Hour. Can we get excited for Empower Hour?
Hello, this is Celebrating This Season with GWC Ministries and Pastor Steve Gibson of Illinois. Jesus loves you. Nigeria loves you, Africa celebrates you, and heaven celebrates you. I'm glad to share this season with you. This is from your sister, Pastor I.T. Dennis, giving you a shout out from Nigeria. God bless you.
I give you praise. Nothing can take your place. Lord, I praise you for all that you've done. Lord, I praise you.
John 14:12, Jesus said, "Great works have I done, but greater works shall ye do." GWC Ministries is a family-oriented ministry designed to teach God's Word. We share simplistic, practical teachings on who God is, why you are here, and where you fit in His plan. Our mission is to empower you to go forth and perform great works.
God bless you, everybody. Good evening, and this is E-Night. Listen, hashtag E-Night is my night, and we are excited to come to you every Thursday night with a great message, a great lesson, great conversation, and particularly, this is one of my favorite times of the month where we know once a month we set aside time to talk about the whole man. One thing about GWC Ministries, we want to minister to the total man. That means that we minister to the spirit, the body, the soul, and the mind. And the Lord gave us this vision of E-Health Night about a year ago, and he has blessed us to be able to have some of the most dynamic healthcare professionals come on one Thursday a month and dedicate their time, their gifts, their talent, and just give you free information, listen, that you don't have to pay for, answering all of those medical questions and those medical conditions that you are dealing with, particularly as it relates to those in what we would call the African-American community, where we tend to have the thing where we don't find out somebody has cancer until they're in stage 4 cancer. And at that point, it's usually too late to do anything. So the Lord gave this to me to get out in front of it, get that information out to you, those that are you on whatever our social media networks right now, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, X. Go out on that site right now. If you can't watch today, make sure you watch later on this week or tonight. And listen, we got a great guest tonight, and our topic tonight is called stress. Listen, I think everybody should be showing up to hear about this. So we're talking about releasing stress, faith over fear. And we have a wonderful guest healthcare professional all the way from Yonkers, New York, Dr. Jamil Sayed, NMD of Yonkers, New York. And he has a podcast. Looks like he's got quite a few things going on with what he does in his line of work. but successfully right now, he has a podcast called Transformation Starts Today, and it has over 4,000 downloads. So why don't you go to that? He's on Facebook, look him up, get his podcast, and find out all about him. We're going to give you some links and some information where you can reach him. But tonight, he's going to help us talk about stress. I certainly always want to thank our cousin and our amazing Empower partner and sponsor, my coach, CEO of the Therapeutic Professionals of Houston, Texas, Miss Mary Turner, RN, who is responsible for providing us every month with these great healthcare professionals. We have had them come from all over the country in the last year, and I'm just excited. And we thank you, Mary. We love you. Thank you for your connections and seeing this vision. Well, I'm not going to talk long because I want you all to get right into our topic tonight, because I know you have questions. I've had people that had contacted me. I saw the comments on Facebook saying this is a good topic. We're ready to hear it. And if you got stress in your life, Dr. Syed is going to tell us how to get rid of that stress. So let me go ahead and just bring him in right now, because we want to give him plenty enough time to share and to talk. And listen, we know some of you all may want to avail yourselves to the democratic process around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the presidential debate. So we'll try to make sure that we give you that opportunity. But before we hear that, we need to hear about some stress relief, because I don't know about you, Dr. Syed. Politics can stress you out too.
Thank you so much, Pastor Steve, for having me. Thank you to Mary for the connection. She's wonderful. And thank you for all of our listeners. Your time, your attention, your energy, I find to be our most valuable resources, and I don't take it lightly that you're here. So thank you again so much for having me.
All right, let's kind of welcome some of our guests that are in tonight. God bless Sister Karen Lawson here from Bolingbrook, Illinois. We go down to the Missouri, St. Louis area. God bless you, Sister Deanna. Good to see you tonight, Erica. And want to introduce my wife to you, Dr. Syed, First Lady Sandy G. We call her Lady G. My wife, Sandy, of 33 years. Amen. She's with us tonight. We're going down to Georgia, Minister Curtis Brooks and Sister Kirsty Spivey. And then we're going to shoot back up into the Midwest. And we are good Indiana, Maryville, Dr. David Lewis, founder of the Sons of David Foundation. And he comes on. He's one of our great supporters, and he comes on to talk about financial health as well. So we try to make sure we cover all of that. So glad to see everybody here. Get your questions ready. He is going to answer whatever your questions have. You don't have to wait to the end. If you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat, and let's get it in there early so we can give him time to answer. And I know he will try to answer as many questions as you have. All right. So I just want to go ahead and yield the floor over to you, Dr. Syed. And let's just go ahead and start with, the basic question. What got you started in this line of work?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And so this could be a long story, so I'm going to give you the abridged version. And I'll start with a little bit about who I am and what I do. And so everything that I do for the last 20 years has been centered around helping leaders, champions, and high performers to experience more happiness, peace, and fulfillment as they create an extraordinary life without regret. Now, first, I want to define some terms. Some people hear those words, leader, champion, high performer, and the thought that comes up for them is, I wish I could be one of those. Not realizing every one of those is a choice, moment to moment to moment. My definitions, a leader is a person that says it's not just about me. It's about we. It's about my family, my company, my community, my country, the world. Depending on the size of your vision, it's bigger than just you. When I think about a high performer, this is a person who says, I want to be the best that I can be at the things that matter most to me. And when I think about a champion, this is a person who says, I want to be the best at whatever this thing is, period. And so people who choose to step into that way of being, which again is a moment by moment choice, and if you haven't done it before, you can start doing it now. Every one of our listeners is likely doing that in one area of life or more. And if there's areas where you haven't been, the good news is you can always have an infinite number of second chances, moment by moment by moment. And when I think about the foundation of my work, I'm in many different fields. And so at the foundation of my work, it's life transformation coaching. Work with people around their business, their mindset, their relationships. I'm a naturopathic medical doctor. And so holistic medicine is also one of my big foundations. And I also do energy work. And so there's a healing component there. God has blessed me with this beautiful, let's say, ability to just support people in facilitating miracles in their life. And I've had some doctors tell me that's not possible. And then it happened in 3 days, in a week. And they were told they were going to die in 6 weeks. And it's just gone. And I'm just the channel. It comes through. Can't promise anything, but it's just incredible how it works when it does. And when I think about what the work is, I spend time with you. I love you. I listen to you more than you've ever been listened to before. I support you in remembering who you really are, in healing and in creating miracles for your life. And so that's the foundation of what I do. And the why is a story that I'd love to share briefly. And I request people to listen in a certain way. Please don't listen to this story just about me. This isn't just something that I'm sharing that happened to me, and that's good to hear. No, I want you to listen to how this relates to you. And so imagine, hypothetically, we're all on a plane and the flight attendant comes out and they do the safety lecture. And everyone pay attention to the flight attendant. Now, what do most of us do at that point? We do everything but that. We focus on our phone, on the TV if it's there, on the person next to us, on a book or something. We fall asleep. Why? We tell ourselves the story. I've heard that before. I know that. The thing is, what would be different if halfway through the flight, let's say there was a lot of turbulence, flight attendant walked out and said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to crash. And if you listen to what I'm about to say in the next 30 seconds, you might survive.
Oh, wow.
Would you listen differently? And I promise you the answer is yes. Now, why? You'd listen differently because you'd say the same thing in different words. My life is on the line. So even though, like Pastor Steve said, this is a free experience, I want you to show up for the next hour as if you paid $10,000 just to be here. If you paid that, you'd remove distractions. If you paid that, you tell everybody in your home, you got to give me the next hour. You can't come bother me unless there's an emergency.
I like
you
that.
Truly be here for you because your life is on the line. And this is the reason why. The present moment is always pregnant with the next moment. So you want a better tomorrow? Only way to create that is you need to create a better now. And your future is created by what you do right now. So if you're not present and you miss the gold that God brought you here to get, then the future you that only exists in possibility dies. Never born because you didn't receive whatever you needed to receive to step into that next chapter of your life. So please be here fully for you. And as I share this story, I'll point out a couple lessons that I learned that I found very helpful for people. So the story begins, I'm 19 years old. I live in New York. I was in college in New York City, and I'm in my undergraduate sophomore year. And I'm part of this pre-med group. And they basically said every year we have to go to Albany to fight to keep our funding. Would you be one of the students since you're in the program? Can you come and share your experience? And I said, sure, that'd be great. When do we leave? It's Tuesday. We leave Friday morning. We come back Sunday night. So Tuesday rolls around. Now it's like Tuesday evening and my intuition kicks in and I clearly hear it. Something's not right. Don't go. And I thought, well, I don't know what that is. And I ignored it. Wednesday, louder, same message. Something's not right. Don't go. Still ignored it. Thursday, it's yelling at me. Something's not right. Don't go. And at that point, I finally started to listen. So first side note and lesson, where is God speaking to you? Where's your intuition coming through and letting you know that something's either not right for you, that there's something you should be doing that you're not doing, whatever it might be, but you're ignoring it. That inner voice is quiet. And so very often it starts quiet, at least it's quiet. And we often distract ourselves. So we're distracted with work. We're distracted with stuff we're listening to. We're doing all these things, all this chaos and commotion. And when we start to quiet down, the inner voice gets louder. And many of us, we get uncomfortable with that. So we try to drown it back out. Where can you listen to that inner voice more? So I was very grateful that Thursday night, it was so loud that I said, I can't keep ignoring this. And so on Thursday night, I sent an email out. I'm so sorry, something came up. I can't be there. Friday, they all leave. Regular day. Saturday, regular day. By Saturday night, I thought, well, I guess I missed the opportunity to be there because nothing happened. Sunday morning changed my whole life. Sunday morning, I woke up, and about 5 minutes after I woke up, my father had a brain aneurysm.
Oh.
And for anyone who's not familiar, imagine a blood vessel in your brain, think of it like a tube, starts to balloon out. If you're fortunate, you have one of the worst headaches of your life, you go to the hospital, hopefully they take care of you, and you can leave and you're okay. My dad wasn't as fortunate. His aneurysm ruptured. Think of it like that bubble popped. Now he's in a 4-hour brain surgery with a less than 5% survival chance. The neurosurgeon said it's the worst aneurysm he ever saw. And if he ever woke up, if he survived, he'd never wake up and he'd be in a coma.
Wow.
Now, he was in a locked room, and when he had the aneurysm, I broke the door to get him out. And if I wasn't home, he would have died. And so, again, where are you not listening to that inner knowing, that conscious, that intuition, that whatever you want to call that? Where are you ignoring that? And so I listened to it, got Dad out. Now we're in the hospital. He's in this 4-hour surgery. He survives. Already a miracle. I walked into the room. My dad was 49 years old. He was a family practice physician, and he was also one of the top Elvis impersonators in the world. You know, he's traveled around the world with Elvis's band. He's in the Elvis Presley Hall of Fame. Beautiful soul, did these giant charity shows. Thousands of people would go, and a lot of life. And here he was in this hospital bed, and I've never seen a human being that vulnerable. And I'm being told by these nurses he could die at any moment. And in that moment, I had this profound sense of regret because I'm being told he could die in any second. I felt like there was nothing I could do. And here's the key part. I felt like I took my relationship with him for granted because I bought into the story that many of us buy into of I have time.
Yes.
If I asked every single person listening, how much time do you have left? We all have the same answer. I don't know. So the question is, what are you doing with the time that you have? And so there I was in that room, this immense sense of regret, feeling like I took my relationship with him for granted. I didn't know him the way that I could have. I was 19, he was 49. And as a high school, as college at that point, but as a teenager, my mindset, it was track and field. I was a runner. It was video games. It was movies. It was my friends. It wasn't, let me get to know my dad, man to man, soul to soul. That was not on my radar for whatever the reason. And now I felt like I blew it and I wasn't going to have another opportunity. Well, God bless me. And I had 3 extra years before he passed away. And in those, he was in a coma, thank you, for several months and took several years off after college to be one of his primary caregivers. And it took about 3 or 4 months before he woke up. Once he woke up, slowly but surely started to get him back to health. And everything that my journey that God took me through, I started young, started getting into health at 14, helping people turn diseases around at 14, saving marriages at 15. Like all these things happened at a really young age for me. And so everything I learned about health from 14 to 19 helped me get my dad back as much as we could, which was incredible for me. So now a couple more lessons for people. There I am taking care of my dad. And on the one hand, I had my prayers answered. I got to spend 10 to 15 hours a day with him. And I really got to know him, and he became one of my best friends. On the other hand, I also recognized that I had some of my lowest lows. There was moments where he forgot who I was because he had memory issues after that. He was prone to seizures. He almost died in my arms hundreds of times. And at some point it hit me, a few different lessons to be with. First one, my dad's alive right now. He might not be here tomorrow. So let me make the most of my time with him today. It hit me, wait, but that's also true about my mom and my sister and myself and every other person that I know. You're here right now. Right now, I get to be with you and your beautiful community. I could get hit by a car tomorrow. This is the last interview I ever get to do. So I hold nothing back ever. And the thing is, so why would any of us hold back? Because we think we have another shot. But you don't know that. And so with the first one, I recognized that. And one of my cousins, I'm known for my hugs in person. So one of my cousins gave me one of the best compliments I ever got. Real simple, real powerful. She goes, I love your hugs. Every time you hug me, I feel like you're never going to see me again. And it hit me right in the heart because that's what I was going for, but I didn't put those words to it like that. And I was like, because I don't know if I'm ever going to see you again. People feel me when I'm with them. And so as these 3 years continued, another lesson to be with. There I was seeing my father. Let's say he was like 60% of what he used to be in terms of functioning. And rather than be with him as he was, I had this thought, he should be different. He should be the way he used to be. When do I get my old dad back? That was my process. The thing, though, is that thought process was blocking me from being with this beautiful soul right in front of me as he is. So I remember one of my teachers back in the day, this guy was alive in like the 1940s. He was a famous philosopher named Alan Watts. And he had this great line. He's a minister as well. And he said, if anyone wants me to marry them, I have one question that determines whether or not I do that.
Okay.
If either of you expect your partner to change in any meaningful way after you get married, I won't marry you.
Mm.
And this is why. If you're expecting somebody to change, you're not marrying them, you're marrying possibility.
Oh, wow.
And so when you think about it like this, the quickest way for somebody not to change is for you to try to change them, because they're going to double down and resist and try to stay the way they are. You want someone to change, you have to fully accept them as they are, love them, invite them into more possibility, and it's got to be their choice. Otherwise, it's not going to be sustainable. And so with that in mind, there I was not accepting my dad the way that he was unconsciously. Once I did accept him, it was amazing how so much of the stress, so much of the frustration instantly melted away. And the way he was now, that 60%, let's say, felt like 100%. I felt so grateful, so like in love, and so, appreciative of every day being the extra gift. Now, in those 3 years, 2 of my cousins passed away. One was 20, one was 21. Both were sudden. Now, if you asked either guy when they were 18, tell me about the life that you would love to live, your goals, your dreams, all these things. Promise you neither guy would say I'd be dead in less than 3 years.
I know that's right.
And so with that in mind, where are we living in procrastination? Where are we holding back and saying, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll get to it later, even though it's on your heart to do now?
That's good.
Where's God giving you the download saying, this is your time to do whatever it is you got to do to make our world a better place, let's say, to help your family, to help your community, whatever. And you hold back out of usually fear. But the thing is, we said faith over fear, right? At the end of the day, you're here for a reason. It's coming to you for a reason. It's not going to somebody else. If it's on your heart to do, it's for you to do. And so with that in mind, at the end of the 3 years, my dad passed away. I remember being at his wake. Over 7,000 people came. I shook every single person's hand, and almost everyone said, your dad saved my life. And I felt so humbled by the impact that he had. First, there was a thought, oh, wow, I wish I could do something like that. But the second thought is a key here for everybody. I had an aha moment. I had this knowing that I'd been playing small, that I was afraid of rejection, that I was way too caught up and worried about what other people thought about me. And as a result of that, I was dimming my shine. One of my top 3 favorite words is enthusiasm. And enthusiasm comes from entheos or antetheos, and it means the God within. And when you radiate enthusiastically and you stand in that divine light that you are, that's that unique fingerprint of your soul. That's that thing that is the real you. But I find that most of us, myself included back then, we wear a mask. We have a persona. Persona means actor's mask in Latin. We have a persona. And that mask says, who do I need to be for you to love me, to be normal, to be accepted, to be validated, to be part of the in crowd, whatever it might be, to not rock the boat. And you think that when you wear that mask and other people like you, that you win. Like, I won the game. They don't even know you, though. They know who you're pretending to be. Wow. And at some level, you realize that, because at some level, something doesn't feel right. Because what's missing in your life at that point is you. The real you has not shown back up. And so most of us were ourselves when we're children, and then we kind of get trained and conditioned out of it, and we spend our whole life trying to get back to it. You know, Picasso has a quote, something like, all children are born artists. The key is staying an artist as you get older.
Oh, that's good.
And so in that same way, as I wrap up the story, there's a question I always pose to my clients, and I pose it now to every one of you listening. What if this was the last time? What if the next meal that you had was the last one? What if the next time you were intimate with your partner, it was the last time? What if the last time you hugged your child, that was going to be the last one? What if the next sunset you saw was the last one? Would you treat it differently? Or would you say, oh, I've seen sunsets before, and then walk away? We all know you would stop and appreciate that thing more than you've ever appreciated a sunset. And then you'd say, has it always been this beautiful? And the answer is yes, every single day of your life, and you haven't been paying attention. And I say that with immense love and respect for every one of you. I don't know you, but I do. And so coming from that space, the more intentional you can be about your life, you can slow down, you can be here now, and you can start living your life intentionally, deliberately, and you can respond instead of react. Who is God calling me to be right now? What's my soul's highest version of itself that I can step into? Where am I ignoring that nudge of my intuition, of my conscious speaking to me? Where am I taking my relationships for granted? You've been married for 6 months, you've been married for a year, you have a kid, you have whatever, and it seems to lose its appeal or its shine after a while. People call it the honeymoon phase. And they say the honeymoon phase ends. My perspective, it doesn't end unless we kill it. And what I mean by that is this.
Wow.
You got a partner, and your partner is this beautiful soul, this beautiful spirit that you love dearly. That's why you picked them. And then at some point, in the beginning, it's exciting, it's new, you're spending all this time together and you're so happy. But at some point you allow yourself, not intentionally, but you get caught up in your money, in your business, in your job, in your whatever. And because you get so caught up in that, your partner starts to feel taken for granted. Not as, when's the last time you had a date night? When's the last time you just surprised your partner with something? All the things that you used to do in the beginning that had them fall in love with you still doing those things? And most of the time the answer is no, because you get comfortable. But that's what kills the spark. The beauty is you could be 95, you got married at 17, and you're more in love at 95 with more when you were 17. That's something available to you. And so to bring it all together, when I think about that story with my dad, that's the foundation of why I do what I do. It's helping people create an extraordinary life, which I define as a life on your terms, whatever that means to you. Because at the end of the day, each of us defines success for ourselves. What is that life that is a win for you? And when you're clear, and for your family, and when you're clear on what that is, the without regret part, I want people to be able to go to sleep at night, and when their head hits that pillow or whatever they're sleeping on, if the angel of God came to them and said, you're not going to wake up tomorrow, this was it, can you fall asleep at peace? Or of a life well lived? Or would you have all this frustration and worry of, no, it can't be it, I got all this stuff I still need to do? If that's the feeling, you've been living in procrastination. You've been living for tomorrow, you've been holding back. And now it's like you come face to face with the moment of, it's too late now. Why wait? It's almost like if anyone saw A Christmas Carol, it's coming to me like in the moment. Ebenezer Scrooge and all the rest. He's got one night. He gets like,
that's right.
Scared, pardon the language. He gets scared shitless. And in one night, he has, if I don't have another way of saying it, but he has 3 people spirits who come to visit him, and he gets scared so much in less than 8 hours that he changes the complete way that he lives. People start saying Merry Christmas, and he starts laughing and smiling and saying Merry Christmas back, and he starts stepping into the most beautiful version of his soul. And Tiny Tim now gets his life saved, and his nephew, he helps him with his business, and he gives Tiny Tim's dad a raise, and he does all these beautiful things, and now he becomes the most generous man in the whole neighborhood. And he did that in less than a day. Where can each of us make that same transition? Because you could say it's just a story. That's available to all of us. So it's like, where can you step into this truest version of you? And again, please forgive me for the language. It's just kind of what came up in the passion in the moment.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and let's kind of go into our, definitely appreciate that story. So happy to hear that your father was able to come through that, and you were able to, God gave you more time to be with him. And I was like, and it sounds like you followed the leading of the Spirit, told you not to go. Most people would just look at the opportunity and say, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. I'm just going to go. And many of us don't stop and allow the Spirit to speak to us and say, no, don't go there. Stay home. This is not the time to go. So, thank you that you listened and your father was able to get longer life from that. So I definitely can appreciate that story and seeing how this catapulted you into this line of work. So since we're talking about our topic today, releasing stress, faith over fear, you said a whole lot of things in there, even about marriage and relationships, which we know can be bring about stress and things like that. So you kind of went into an area I'm kind of glad you went into, because I've had some people talk to me about needing to basically kind of hear some of that type teaching as well. So thank you for those nuggets that you threw out there. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about is what is the clinical definition of stress and what causes it and why? So everybody talks about, we say this word stress, but what is the real clinical definition of stress?
So I think of stress, I like to think of things as simply as possible, not only because it's easier to understand, but it also has as many people as possible really get it. And when they really get it, they can actively use it. They can take it and they can make their life better immediately from hearing it. Stress, to put it simply, is a response. And so something happens and your body has a response. Now, stress in and of itself is neutral. It's not good or bad. Your body, so for example, if Right now, there you are walking down the street, and God forbid, some wild animal that's like a predator comes after you. You want to have a stress response, so you got no chance of getting away. And so now you shift into what's called the sympathetic fight or flight type of state. Blood flow changes to the muscles. Digesting your food and fighting cancer is not important if you're dying in the next 10 seconds. And so you need to get away. You want that to happen. The thing, though, is I make a distinction here between old stress and new stress. So I'll start with that. Old stress is what I was just referring to. So there you are back in the day. We're foraging for food, for berries. We're hunting, gathering. We're doing whatever we're doing. And you're pretty relaxed. Maybe you're whistling, you're doing your thing. And then all of a sudden, the twig snaps. And it's like a rabbit. The ears shoot up. And all of a sudden, you look, and you're looking in the bushes, and you see the animal, the lion, the whatever it is. And it starts coming after you. Your body goes full on fight or flight because it has to in order for you to have any chance of getting away. And let's say you make it. I'm rooting for you. So now let's say you make it. Now what happens? It's like the system goes on, the stress response, and then it turns off because now you're okay. When it turns off, it takes some time. Your body returns back to a balance and equilibrium. That's the way it's supposed to be. Stress is like a burst. It's on, and then it turns off. The challenge is new stress, as I define it, it's very different. New stress is you could have financial stress. You could have relationship stress. You could have home stress. You could have career stress. You could be in traffic, and you got stress because of that. Or you have all these different types of stress where now everything metaphorically is a lion because you've got a body that has not evolved the same way as our minds have. And so your body still thinks that that lion's there, even though there's no lion there. There's no actual life or death situation most of the time, at least in the Western world. And yet most of us are in stress like 24/7. We're in stress almost all the time. Our nervous systems are tense and stressed. Our immune systems are lower. You mentioned cancer earlier. How is it? All of us have cancer all the time. Our bodies are always fighting the cancer and basically able to think of it like this. If this is the threshold you got to pass to get a diagnosis, we're all like down here all the time. But as it comes out, our body takes it back out. And so it never builds up. If it does, something went wrong. And so now the question is, why did something go wrong? And there's a lot to get into that. But one of the things is if you're consistently stressed out, as one example, you suppress your immune system massively. And so if your immune system is one of the stress hormones, if you have like a kidney transplant or something, they need to give somebody else's organ to you. They have to give you a stress hormone to shut your immune system down so your body doesn't reject that organ. But you produce those stress hormones all the time when you're stressed out. So you're knocking your own immune system down almost every day when you live in stress. Now, we all feel stress occasionally, but do you live there? And if you live there, that's where the problem shows up. And so when we talk about what is stress, when I think of it as a response, there's a Viktor Frankl quote. Viktor Frankl was a Jewish physician in the Holocaust, and he was in the Nazi concentration camp. And he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. I think with the Bible, it's like one of the top 2 books of all time in terms of sales. And it's called Man's Search for Meaning. And he says between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our ability to choose our response. And in that choice lies our growth. And I think it's like our greatness or our destiny or something like that. And so it's that idea that there's what happens. So the way I define it is life happens in 3 stages. Stage 1 is life happens. That's neutral, because until a human being judges it as good or bad, life happens. Then there's stage 2. I interpret it. I make it mean something. I tell myself a story about it. So-and-so did something. What does that mean to me? And then stage 3 is I experience my interpretation. And so the key here is this: we don't experience life the way it is. We experience it the way we are. So if we have chaos inside, we experience chaos outside. If you have peace inside, you could be surrounded by chaos and you still feel peace inside. Viktor Frankl said the last freedom that the Nazis could not take away is the ability to choose your response. One of us can choose, what does this mean to me? During COVID, a lot of people, let's say, had to pivot. Economy was changing, businesses were closing, and people were wondering, what am I going to do? Some people lost their business, and that sucks. Some people thought, you know what? I got this brick and mortar business. I need to make some money. They went online for the first time, and they never did that before, and they didn't know how to do it, but they figured it out and they learned. And
Same here. That's how we started out.
Yeah. And then fast forward to the end of COVID, or sometime, when things opened up again, And now they have this business that's doing the physical sale and it's doing the online sale, and they're doing the best they've ever done. At that point, their response is the reason why their life is now better off. And so what is stress? Stress is your response to the interpretation that you made. Now, normally that interpretation can be conscious or unconscious. So I never come from a place of blame, shame, fault, or guilt. It's none of that. It's just coming from a space of think about responsibility and then break the word up, the ability to respond. If I don't like my life the way that it is right now in any area, what can I do, even if it's 1% improvement? What can I do to make it better for me? What conversation can I have? What action can I take? What can I walk away from? Where can I move to? Whatever it might be, there's always something you can do. You know, it says in the Bible, you are made in the image and likeness of God. You are a creator of your life experience. If you don't like it, you have the full power to do something about it. It says
Amen.
in the beginning of your intro video, some variation of, you know, this isn't what it says, but the same idea. The least among you can do all that I have done and more. Like great works I have done, but you will do greater. That kind of thing.
Yep, that's it.
In that same way, so do greater. Like it's not that you should or you have to. It's that you could. It's possible. And if you're not happy with the way your life is, what if you chose that, you know what? God has given me everything that I need to be able to move forward, to take action in a way to create the life that I want. It might take time. It might not happen overnight. It might take a decade. But 10 years are going to pass. And if you're still here, you're either going to get there and you're going to be so grateful about everything you did along the way, or you're going to look back and go, I really wish I started 10 years ago.
You know what, Dr. Sayed? I'm glad you're talking in that vein, because that's one of the things that I have really been teaching over the last several months, is getting people to get to that place, you know, where God wants them to fulfill their purpose, that dream, that vision, that desire. You know, what are you doing to get there? And in, you know, 1 year from now, are you any closer to getting that vision, and trying to get people to understand that they have to play an active part in that coming to pass? And so I brought up the next question, is that I wonder, do we illegitimately blame things on stress that we may be responsible for ourselves? Yeah.
And so with that in mind, for everyone who's listening, no matter where you are right now, if I were to say, point to the floor, point to the chair, point to the couch, point to the ceiling, if there's a window, like point to the grass or the tree or the building, you could do all that. If I then said, point to stress, at best, you would point to something that you believe is stressful. Now, my question is, would everybody in the world point to that same thing? And the answer is no.
No.
Why? Because stress is a concept. Stress doesn't exist. It's not real. Now, the experience of stress is real, but that's different. So stress itself, made up. Your experience of stress, your stressful experience, very real. And I never seek to invalidate anyone's life experience, anyone's feelings. You feel it, it's real for you. This is the key in those 3 stages that I shared. So life happens, I interpret it, I experience my interpretation. What most of us do is we forget the second part. So we say life happens and I'm experiencing this stress and I'm experiencing this because life happened this way. But life can't do that. I'll give you an example. If it's raining right now and you say to me at the start of our call, Jamil, how you doing? And I tell you, Pastor Steve, today is a horrible day. And you say, why is that? And I go, it's raining outside. And then you look maybe confused and you say, so what? And I say, I mean, isn't it obvious? Like the whole day's ruined. I can't do any of these things that I wanted to do. Like the rain is pissing me off. Then you go to the guy up the street and you say, David, how's your day been? Oh my God, I'm so excited. Why are you so excited? It's raining outside. And then you go, so? And he goes, the most precious resource from the planet is raining from the sky for free. My car's getting washed. The plants are getting watered. This is beautiful. I'm going to go play in the rain. I'm going to go jump in a puddle. Now, one guy says the rain made him excited. The other guy said the rain is the root of his frustration. How does rain do that? Rain can't do that. It's
Right.
it's the interpretation of the rain that caused the stress. So when the question says, do we illegitimately blame things on stress that we may be responsible for ourselves? My loving my loving suggestion for everyone listening, and again, I say this like my soul to yours with the utmost respect for you. It's all on you. And what I mean by that is your bank account could be zero, but it's just ones and zeros on a computer screen. What does that mean to you? I have to move out of my house. Are you going to make that a problem? Or is it like, this is where I'm at right now. My relationship's ending. What's the story that you tell? I'm not saying it's easy, but life happens. You make it mean something. You experience that. And if you experience it as stress and it's consistent, if you blame it on the situation, you disempower yourself. Because if I say, as an example, I am really angry, frustrated, and upset because Cindy said something to me, and I won't feel better until she apologizes. What if Cindy never apologizes? Am I now going to feel this way the rest of my life? I will if I actually believe that she's the cause of my feeling and I require an apology in order to let it go. Or I can realize Cindy did what she did. It wasn't my preference. I didn't want her to do that, but she did what she did. Now, what am I going to make that mean? And what if I told myself a story that could empower me, give me a sense of control over my mental and emotional well-being? You mentioned earlier, the complete man, the complete human being, spirit, mental, emotional, physical. And so how can we take that control back and not export our mental and emotional well-being to other people, to other situations? Stock market crashes, some people freak out, some people celebrate. It's like, it's not the market, it's not the situation, it's what you make it mean.
All right, so audience, just want to make sure you know that you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat now, and Dr. Syed is happy to answer them. You got questions about stress, you got questions over the faith over fear. Go ahead and put that in there so you can get we want to try to get everybody in before the broadcast is over with. And I definitely see everyone is amen into the things that you're saying, Dr. Syed. So, but make sure you all get your questions in there. So I want to kind of go ahead, let you continue.
Thank you. Just while the questions are coming in, one thing to just be with, I think would really help people. One of the ways I have found to release stress, when I say faith over fear, this is what I mean. Remember who you really are. So many of us forget that you are a child of God. You have a body. You're not your body. And I'll show you the proof of it right now. If I ask you, do you have any memories from when you were a kid, a teenager, in your 20s, whatever age that's more than a year before right now? At some point, you're going to say yes. The latest research shows you have a brand new body every year. Your skeleton is brand new. Everything's turning over. So if you have a memory from 5 years ago, from 30 years ago, and I say, who was that in that memory? And you say, that was me. I'm like, you sure? And you go, yeah, that was me. I remember it like it was yesterday. Cool. There's not one part of you physically that's here now that was there then. Wow. So who are you? And at that point, you're not your name. Your name was given to you. You're pure spirit. You're a soul. You're a child of God. I think of it as a car metaphor. It's like you have a new car. A new model of your car comes to you every year, but the driver stays the same.
I like that.
Then with that in mind, remember who you are. So it's like, I'm a child of God. I am bigger than anything that could possibly happen for me. There's beliefs that I've at least internalized that if I believe everything happens for a reason and God never gives me anything I can't handle. If I internalize those two things, I literally become unstoppable. And that doesn't mean I don't have moments where I forget that. We all do. But if you remember who you are, you're bigger than anything that could ever happen to you. So much easier to deal with the moments that come out because they're temporary, you're infinite.
Okay. So we do have a question coming in from Minister David Lewis from Indiana. He wants to know, is there a way to balance stress?
I'm not clear on what he means by that.
Minister Lewis, you want to elaborate? I think he might be trying to say, all right, how do is there a way to manage the stress? I think that might be a way that, because you were saying we all have it. Yeah. We all deal with it. Yeah. So how can we manage it, or how do we balance the stress in our life? So I guess we're saying it doesn't drive us crazy, it doesn't kill us. And he's chiming in and say, yes, that's what he meant. Perfect.
So I'll give some rapid fire big things that can be quick that people can do. So, but keep this in mind. There's a root cause of a problem, and then there's symptom management. both can be useful depending on what the situation is calling for. So symptom management might be take a walk in nature, take your shoes off and step on the grass. You want to get your mind blown, go on YouTube, type in earthing documentary. It's like 2 hours long. You'll see how the greatest medicine you could ever have is sunlight and stepping on the earth. And when you literally do that, you see all the science of why that turns your whole health around. But with that in mind, step into nature. In Japan, they call it Shinrin Yoku. It's forest bathing. But you just go, like you mentioned earlier, the walk that you and your wife did. When you're in nature, especially surrounded by green, your nervous system is calm, your immune system is boosted, like everything's better when you're in nature. And so let's say step into nature, pray, journal, meditate, work out, go for walks, get a massage. You know, it's like laugh, do whatever it is that spend time with people you care about. When you hug people, hold it for 20 seconds. Might feel weird. You boost a hormone called oxytocin. It's the love hormone. You're going to feel a lot better.
20 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, there's all these things you can do, you know, stay hydrated, watch out for your food. When you eat food, how do you feel an hour later, 3 hours later? If you ate dinner, how do you feel in the morning? If you got brain fog, if you've got gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, if you feel like fatigue, it's probably your food. And so that's adding to your stress. Like you should feel good after you eat. And so with that in mind, just what am I needing right now? Think of it like a self-love practice. How can I love myself, on a daily basis? Actually schedule it in. I find that if you look at your calendar, I have a calendar right up here. If I say, I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to ask myself, I've got all these meetings scheduled. Where's my time for me? Where's my meeting for me? And so
I don't have that on my schedule.
Exactly. And most of us don't. And so if you look at your calendar, I strongly encourage you, schedule your workout, schedule your nature time, schedule your date night. Because you're the most important thing in your life, because if you can't give from an empty cup, it's like the whole my cup runneth over kind of thing. You got to fill your cup up and give from the overflow, because you can give forever. Instead of burn yourself out and you can give for 3 weeks and then you're done. Like you can give for the rest of your life if you fill yourself up. I'm of no use to my wife or my kids or my whatever if I'm at a 1 out of 10 capacity right now. I have to fill myself up completely so I can give for as long as I desire to. So look at your calendar. Are you on your calendar? Is your mental and emotional well-being on your calendar? If it's not, you can start changing that today. And so that's the first thing. I said there's root cause and there's symptom management. Root cause is that. What's the practices you can do to mitigate it? But the root cause is, what's the story you're telling yourself that's creating it? And then question the story, because it's almost never true. For example, oh my God, if this thing doesn't work out, I lose everything. I can't handle that. Well, that's the story. Is that really true, that I couldn't handle it? Or would it just be really, unfortunate for a period of time, but eventually I'd figure it out and I bounce back? Like there's a story you tell yourself where you scare yourself. And then we generate the stress.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I love that. You definitely are giving us a lot of good nuggets. And I will tell you, we felt very good when we came back from the walk. I mean, we just felt good. We felt happy. We felt lighthearted. And my doctor had just recently told me that I need to start making sure I get about 15 minutes of vitamin D from the sun, not just the supplements I'm taking. But she's like, you need to get outside and get 15 minutes of that vitamin D, because that's going to help you. So I definitely can attest to what you were saying about that. And being out in nature is one of my favorite things to do. I read my Bible out in the park. I leave work and I go on my lunch break. I always find a local park, or even in some sitting area outside. My wife will tell you, if we go to a restaurant for dinner in the summer, I'm looking for the restaurant that has the outside seating area. I don't want to be inside. I want to be outside so I can see things, see nature. So with that being said, you talk about faith over fear in the topic. And I like to ask this question. So how does faith over fear play a role in releasing stress? Can faith alone fix it?
So it's what I was just alluding to about remembering who you really are. Think about it like this, there's 2 ways I can be with this. I can think I'm just poor little me. I'm this physical creature that's going to last 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, whatever it might be. And then that's it. And if I think of it like that, that's scary. If I think of it like that, it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like this matters so much. Or I could think of myself as a child of God, as a spirit. I'm infinite. Like your soul doesn't die.
Right.
And if you come from that space of being your soul, like come from the space of that's who you are. I have a body, I'm not my body. If you start there, and then of course, you're in the physical existence, you're going to have a life. Be as strategic as you can be. Set yourself up for success. So if you're wanting to be financially free or abundant or whatever, are you learning about finances? Are you learning about how to manage your money as properly as you can?
We
You
need
want
Minister David Lewis and the Sons of David for that, right, Minister Lewis? Thought
Yeah.
I'd throw it in there.
You want a great relationship and you're having some stress right now. Okay, here's a question to be with. And again, no blame, shame, or guilt here. This is just my soul to your soul. Whatever the result you're experiencing that you don't like, what role are you playing? How are you creating that? Because if you keep blaming the other person, the situation, nothing's going to change. The moment you say, well, this is how I'm showing up, that's contributing to the situation that I don't like. You have influence over others. You have control over yourself. That's it. You can't control anybody else. And so with that in mind, are you taking control over your part? Most of the time we're not. We create our stress so often, not just with our interpretation, but we kind of put ourselves in a bad situation. And it's like, we didn't mean to, but it happened. And then rather than take the ownership of it and dig ourselves out, and we can get help and we can do all that, we kind of wallow in it. And that's not helping us at all. And so everything I share, again, I share it from love and I share it to hopefully empower you. I want you to see that you have a degree of control over your life, that you've been blessed so much already. What are you doing with the blessing? What are you doing with the life you've been given?
All right. I love it. Anybody else? Get your questions in before the hour closes out on you. All right. So we know the scripture, Dr. Syed, that says faith without works is dead, being left alone. All right. So I want to kind of talk about that because you're saying faith over fear, and can faith fix it alone? So people often say it's just faith, just have faith and you can get it done. Is there any part that we need to play with that? So we're trying to relieve our stress, but yet at the same time, we're saying we're having faith, but our stress isn't going anywhere, but we're having faith. What is it that's causing it not to come to pass? What part do we play in that?
Yep. So the part we play is we're being passive instead of active. We're waiting for God to do it for us. And there's a line in the Bible, God helps those who help themselves. And I'm reminded of a story that a teacher of mine shared with me years ago. There was a gardener and a priest, and the gardener had this beautiful garden. And the priest walked by and sees the garden, walks up to the gardener and says, "Sir, you have a truly extraordinary garden here. You should thank God for this." And the priest says, the gardener says, "Well, Father, I do every day." And he goes, no, you really should thank God for this. And he goes, "I do." And the priest keeps kind of pushing it. And the gardener eventually says, "Father, God has blessed me extraordinarily with what I have. And you should have seen this place when God had it to himself." So there's the raw material. God's given you all of it. Now it's what do you do with it? So faith is not just sit on the couch and pray for the check and wait for it. That's not how it works. You have faith, which gets you over the fear, which means I'm afraid, but now I have courage and I do it anyway because my faith is going to work out. And then you take action one step after the other. And it's not just busy work, it's purposeful action, which is action in alignment with the life that you want to live. Like you can have all the faith in the world and pray all the time, but if you just sit there, nothing's going to happen.
Thank you. I am so glad. You know what? That is kind of one of the hardest concepts to teach. And it's somewhat of a misconception. And I take responsibility because as the Christian body, we don't necessarily explain it properly. We lead people into just saying, yes, we have to say it, but we lead people into thinking that they don't have no action to take in it, and then the stress is yet there. And they're like, well, I'm believing God, Pastor. I'm having faith. And it's like, well, okay, I'm having faith for him to heal me. Well, did you go to the doctor? I'm having faith for him to heal me. Did you get a checkup? I'm having faith for him to heal me to get a new job. Well, have you went on any interviews? Yeah. I'm having faith that God's going to give me a new car. Well, have you went out and started looking for a car? So now I try to teach that God says, wait a minute, I do want you to play a part in it. Now, if you have the faith in me, I'm going to give you the strength, the know-how, the will, the wisdom, the knowledge on how to go ahead and pursue it. When David asked the question, should he go out and pursue those men that down at Ziklag that took his wife and his kids and took them away? He said, listen, should we go and get them back? And God says, go. And what if David would have just sat there and said, well, God says go. And then he sat there. Yeah. He had faith that God would tell him what to do, but God still required him to take action. His men were stress-filled, so much the Bible says they were crying. So they weep so much that they didn't have any more tears to weep. But when they got through crying, David said, God, what should I do? Should I go and pursue it? God says, go and pursue it. And then David and his men went. They pursued and they recovered all. This is what I'm trying to get them to understand, Dr. Sayej, that yes, we want miracles. Yes, we want God to move, but our stress is, like you've been saying, it's going to be controlled by what we do or don't do. And we spend more time just talking about what the Bible says, but not enough actually putting it into action.
Yeah, amen to that. And that's this idea that without action, it's like, what is it? What's the exact line? Without a vision, the people perish.
People perish.
So you have the vision for your life. This is where we're headed as a couple, as a family, as an individual. This is what I want. This is what I would love. Okay, so that's like you're at A, like an alphabet, and Z is where you want to be. God's not going to walk for you. Like you got to take the walk, but everything will be lined up for you in the sense that when you take the action, the right person shows up to help you. When you take the action, the book recommendation shows up. When you take the action, there's an opportunity that happens that wouldn't have happened otherwise if you didn't take the action. So for a really simple example, everyone is listening right now. If you're in a relationship or you were in a relationship, and at some point, let's say it was going well, like you're happy with it. How is it that you're in a relationship? Because one of you asked the other one out. Like something happened that made one of you say, I like this person. I would love to see if we can create more. And so you put yourself out there. And as a result of that, it might be years, decades later. And you go, here's this beautiful life that I've created. How'd that happen? God brought the person into my awareness, but I had to jump on the opportunity.
There you go. All right. You're talking good, man. All right. Listen. So Dr. Sayej has a podcast like we talked about called Transformation. Let me put this back up so I'm not saying it incorrectly. Transformation starts today. And we know that the Bible speaks explicitly about us transforming. He tells us, be renewing of our mind, transforming our way of thinking. And we need to start tapping into that transformation. And I like the fact that you say it can start today. And you talk real good about procrastination, because we was having that conversation in some few lessons in our Sunday school a couple of weeks ago. People are just procrastinating, just sitting around talking about what they're going to do and never do it. And it can start today. He also has some wonderful links that if you want to get more information about what he does and his resources, so you can and this is what we've been talking about, trying to get you all to walk in purpose, trying to get you all to fulfill that vision or that dream and get you over that hurdle. So we bring in people like Dr. Sayej, who has success with that. I've listened to many other testimonies, the people that was on his website and on his broadcast, how he was able to get them, his coaching was able to get them over that hurdle and get them past that. It's nothing wrong with God allowing you to get a coach to help you. We got one question from St. Louis that we want to answer real quick. Erica Williams wants to know, what is a codependent?
So codependency, think of it in this way. You're so attached to another person that you are, in a way, it's like you're contributing to the situation and you're dependent on them. So it's like you're relying on them, but it's like you're, in a way, contributing to that situation perpetuating that you don't want to be a part of anymore. Does that make sense? It's like you become dependent on the person, and usually it's not in a healthy way. It's you become dependent on them for things that you probably should be doing yourself, where now it brings you into more of a needy or attached place.
Mhm.
And that way it's never going to put you into a space that you feel good about yourself.
And that can consequently bring about stress for the person that is having being codependent on someone else, or the person that has the dependency on them. It's like, okay, I'm trying to live my life, and I can't live mine and yours at the same time.
So
So
it's like
go ahead.
you have independent, and then you have codependent, but you have a blend which is interdependent. And interdependent is what we're going for. It's because if I'm in a relationship with somebody, I don't want to be completely independent. I don't want to be, I'm just going to go, I'm doing my thing. No, it's like there's not, now it's a we. And so interdependent, though, is still, it's not like, people say like, you complete me. It's not, I'm broken, you're broken, we come together and now we're whole. No, it's like as a soul, I'm whole, perfect, and complete. You're whole, perfect, and complete. We come together to enrich our experience of life. We come together to create something as beautiful as possible. And if we come from that space, that interdependence, there's a level of mutual respect for each other, and there's a level of respect for ourselves.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Very good question, Erica. I hope that answered that question for you. Now we're going to go ahead and close this out. I want to make sure that I'm going to put up some information for Dr. Syed, if you all want to, like I said, know more about what he does, kind of get you that coach. And I was alluding earlier that it's nothing wrong with us being Christians and believers, and God sending people to us to motivate us, to help us get over that hurdle, to help us get the strength and the courage to go and do the thing that we want to do, or that he's calling us to do. So that's why we brought him on, so he can kind of give you that kind of shot in the arm, as they say, to say, let's get you, you can have a better life. One of my favorite ministers is Joyce Meyer, and the motto of her program at church is enjoying everyday life. We think about the afterlife, but she says, while we're down here, what are you doing to enjoy every day God has given you, to enjoy it right now? And a lot of people, Dr. Syed, they're Christians, we're believers, and we're not enjoying life. Yeah. We live in this godly life of stress, of just barely making it, pressing our way. But we have people like you that can come on and say, no, God has a better plan for you. And here's how we can give you some tools and resources to do that. So I'm going to put this on the screen for everybody. I know it's a little, but you can also email me, and I can make sure you get these links. And let me see if I can get one of them in the chat real quick.
Wait, it might be easier, Pastor, if you just go to if you just go to jamilsayegh.com, JAMILSAYEGH, everything here is on that website.
Okay, y'all hear that? So go to his website and go ahead and read that. I appreciate Deanna from St. Louis saying great teaching. Thank you. Listen, if we're talking about all the ways of doing things, our platform is open up for God to use different ways, different people, different sources to give us what we need, and not have us boxed in that the only way we can do and teach something is one way. So Dr. Syed, I want to thank you for coming to be with us today and sharing your story. And I was truly fascinated with the things that I was hearing on your website myself. And sometimes people don't always all right, look at that. We got transforming in 2024. Yeah. All right, Denisha. Loving that. That's right. That means that you're starting to apply it. You're getting motivated and inspired. So make sure you all get in touch with him so he can give you some more information. And perhaps if you want to utilize his services, and I'm sure he can tell you what his fee structure is to kind of help you get going. I currently get coaching help by Mary Turner because sometimes we are, as pastors, we need somebody to help keep us motivated and keep us from getting burned out too, so that we continue to go forth. First, this is my wife, First Lady. She said, thank you for your expertise, Doctor. Your passion really shined through.
Thank you, Sandy. I so appreciate that.
All right. All right. They said this was a nice session. Very good. Amen. Thank you all for taking your Thursday. Again, we do this once a month, and this is the reason why so that we can empower you all to go forth and perform the great works. Amen. So while we're doing that, any last remarks? Dr. Syed, I did have a question for you. I wasn't sure. I don't know. Is Cindy your wife?
No.
Oh,
No.
I heard you say a Cindy. I don't. Do you have a sister or?
No. I'm just like pulling names out of the air.
Because I saw one person that was on your site and they had your last name too, and they started following us as well. And I saw her because she was also on one of my favorite TV shows, Saturday Night Live. And
oh, you mean Jillian?
Yes,
that's my
Jillian.
sister.
That is your sister. Okay,
Yeah.
I knew she was related to. Yeah, I said, oh wow. I said, I actually saw her last one when she was there in the audience with she was there on a skit with John Hamm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, just wanted to just kind of see if you all were actually related like that. She wants to know, what is the website again, or the podcast? Can you post it, Pastor? Let me type it real quick for you.
So the website is JAM, like Michael, JAMIL. Yeah, JAMIL, and then my last name, SAYEGH.com. And the podcast is called Transformation Starts Today. If you want the video out, a lot of interviews are beautiful. The videos are on YouTube. You just type in, Jamil Sayed and it'll pop up. And if you go on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, it's on there too.
And the podcast is Transformation Starts Today, right?
You got it.
And you guys can go to the GWC website, Facebook page. You can go to my page and you will see his information there. You can go ahead and grab it from there. So there's his website for more information, and there's his podcast. So you can tune in and listen to the wonderful testimonies of people who are saying that they were probably where you were right now, had a dream, had a vision, stressed out, didn't figure out how it was going to happen. And now they're coming back to say, because of the words that he gave, the tools that he gave them, now they are enjoying the success that probably if they hadn't talked to them, they would still probably be in the same place they were 5 years ago. And that's exactly where God does not want us to be. All right. So with that being said, everybody, if the broadcast has been a blessing to you, we always ask that you help us to continue to do this each week. So we're going to put our 4 ways to give up on the screen while Dr. Syed gives us one final closing remark to close us out.
I said earlier, at least my own personal belief, God brings people into your life for a reason. And so everyone who's tuning in, Pastor Steve is in your life for a reason. I was brought into your life either for this one session right here, or because something on my podcast is going to help you, or this helped you, or we end up working together, whatever it might be. It's not an accident. And so the question is, what did you take, even if it was one thing, from our hour or so together? And please actually apply it. Be in action. It's like when you have a bunch of books on the bookshelf, but you don't read any of them. It's now called shelf help. And it doesn't, we want you to actually apply so your life can change. Like you used an hour of your life that you're never going to get back to be here. Don't waste it. Thank you very much.
Can I use that show help?
Yeah, you can.
All right. All right. God bless you, everybody. Remember, we will see you all back. Don't forget to give today. We will see you all back Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for Sunday School 2.0, where we are leveling up our Bible game in the Word. We are continuing in our summer of girl power, where we have women of God teaching the Word of God, and we will have another guest panelist, woman with us on this Sunday morning, talking about Ruth marries Boaz. So make sure you all are here this Sunday morning so we can continue that series all summer of women in the Bible who had faith over fear, and they did not allow their circumstances to stop them from reaching God's greater. All right. God bless you, Kinsley. Little Kinsley. That's my little baby right there. Pastor Steve says hi, and I'm glad you were with us tonight, Kinsley. All right, everybody. We will see you all Sunday morning. God bless you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. And we will see you Sunday morning at 9 a.m.